So one of the things as business owners or senior executives that we should be worrying about in our business is business risk. And part of that we can insure against. Part of that is all about workers' compensation, and it can be a little bit of a minefield to get into. That's going to be our topic this week. And we have an expert talking with us this week, Lisa Castagnola, coming right up. So we're very lucky this week to have Lisa Castagnola with us, who's an expert in risk insurance, particularly workers' compensation insurance. Lisa is based in the US. If you don't know me, I'm based in Australia, so you're going to have to juggle with the accents here. My apologies for that. Thank you so much for joining us today, Lisa.
Sure, Rob. Thank you so much for having me. Happy to be here.
So I know nothing really about insurance, but it's such an important topic for people. So what are some of the major risk categories that you come across that people need to think about insuring for in their businesses? And like you mentioned to us prior, you know, your field is workers' compensation insurance. So what are some of the major risks?
So in workers' compensation, your biggest risk, of course, is your employee, right? Once you hire employees, you're taking on the risk and the responsibility of making sure that those employees are protected from hazards in the workplace. So, you know, that's the main thing that we're talking about when we're talking about workers' compensation. Of course, the other insurances include your general liability, your property coverage. Cyber liability is a huge risk right now, or, you know, the cyber exposures for businesses. If they've got a fleet of vehicles, then it's going to be commercial auto insurance is going to come into play. So, you know, there are all kinds of things. And of course, companies right now are faced with the risks associated with the pandemic, right? That's added a whole new realm. And I know that's not the topic today. So back to work comp, I guess.
So with workers' compensation insurance, and I mean, in many parts of the world, that's compulsory. You've got to have it. Is that right?
That is correct. That is correct.
And so how do people go about securing that insurance? Do I look up an insurance company? Do I go to a broker? How do I get advice on that?
Well, you go through a broker. It's not the same as being able to just, you know, pick up the phone and dial direct to the insurance carrier, because you really want to have a broker to protect your interests and be that go-between, that that liaison between you and the insurance carrier. So you work with a broker. There are different ways to meet brokers, and having a broker in place that you trust is very, very important. I can't stress that enough. Understanding their specific expertise. And with workers' compensation, of course, it all comes down to, if you do have a lot of claims, you want to be represented by a broker who knows what they're doing when it comes to claims handling, overseeing how the carrier deals with claims, and then getting to the root cause of why workplace injuries in the first place.
So you raise a really interesting element there, because when you talk about insurance broker, I think, oh wow, well that's the person who's going to sell me in the insurance, but it's obviously a much deeper relationship because they're helping you with claims and stuff like that.
Of course, yes, they're essentially a consultant for you. So you're looking to them to guide you along the way. You need that guide.
So if I'm really new to this, how do I know if I've got a good broker or not? How do I find a good one?
Absolutely, Rob. I mean, the level of expertise can vary depending on who is specifically on your account. And knowing that you have a broker who can handle the more complicated claims, who understands how to deal with the carrier, and who, again, is not monitoring your situation, but they're managing every part of it, including, you know, starting at your culture and looking at how the organization sets your employees up for safety and receiving safety protocols and things like that.
Okay, no, that's a really great insight. So what are some of the insurance nightmares that you've come across? I mean, if people don't go through this process correctly,
Oh gosh,
what are
so
some of the
many.
things that can happen?
Well, in terms of, thinking about supply chain and warehousing and some of the heavy equipment that is used in warehouses like forklifts. I mean, I can tell you about an accident where somebody came around a corner. The foot was supposed to be in the cage of the forklift and go around the corner. The foot gets pinched and half the foot is gone. So, 30 days in, it's $150,000 claim. That's 30 days in. Then you have employees who may or may not be healthy, right? And there could be a situation where faints and damages themselves. And I've known of one where somebody was actually paralyzed.
Wow.
I know of a claim where somebody came off they were going in and out of a cooler on a big piece of equipment, and the equipment rolled. They were not strapped in, so they didn't follow the safety protocols.
Yep.
And it rolled and they were killed. So in the warehouse situation, knowing the safety protocols and really, living by the safety protocols is so important. The number one injury out there is usually it's falls, right? But I've seen instances of people getting stuck in a trench. I've seen things all over the place. So those are different claims scenarios. Now, there are also scenarios where an insurance carrier will conduct an audit at the end of your policy period, and they'll misclassify some of the employees and stick you with a bill for $100,000 that you weren't planning to spend on your workers' comp. And so as a broker, one of our jobs is to go back and look at that audit and look at all the line items and make sure that everything is being checked carefully, and then disputing that audit within a certain time frame to make sure that we're looking out for our clients' best interests.
Yeah. That's some amazing insights. And, we've been talking primarily here about the sort of US environment, but I think, wherever you're watching from in the world, the key message here is be safety aware, be safety conscious, make sure all of your staff are safety conscious, and where it's necessary. Well, I was going to say where you're obliged to have insurance, but it's not that, is it? I mean, you owe it to your staff, whether it's obligatory or not, to have the right sort of insurance in place.
You do. I mean, you owe it to your staff to keep a hazard-free workplace. That's the bottom line. That's what OSHA, occupational safety, says that an employer is required to do. There are regulations on this. So.
Okay. Well, that's some fantastic insights there, Lisa. I thank you very much for joining us at the end of a very busy day, I know.
Sure. Yeah, no problem.
Maybe if you could share some links to some sort of relevant information, or if people want to contact you, we can put that down below the video. But,
okay.
Until next time, thank you for watching. I hope that's given you a little bit to think about in terms of insurance.
Yes.
And
Good. I hope so.